What am I supposed to do with this slop? Hey, it's Dave Salvadore. Welcome back to Blueline Design, where we will continue with part 2 of our 3-part series on how I approach doing toy concept art. The first part, we did these awful little thumbnails. And I actually showed these to Mike O'Hare, and he liked most of them. This is awful! What? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of 2 of these, and we're gonna move forward my 2 favorite ones, the Nerf gun and the Squish toy. I'm gonna break up the video into 2 parts. The first part will be a slowed down version, which will give a little more explanation on the thought process and how I draw. I put a link below if you wanna skip ahead to the second part, which will be the quicker version. If you'd like to watch the whole thing, that's great. If not, just skip to the part that you wanna watch, and let's get right into it. That blank piece of paper can sometimes be pretty intimidating. So what I would suggest is just start getting your hand moving. It's a squish bug that you fill with slime. Okay, so he'll have some kind of a cork connected. You know, like those. You ever inflate it's one of those inflatable things, and it's got like a little cork in there. Okay, and I thought it would be fun to do a kind of a radioactive barrel of the slime. So I'll have that there. And then also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna round things because I'm thinking of the material. You know, it would probably be made out of some kind of a squishy. So I'm looking at Mike's bug as reference, but then also I'm thinking of the material that this thing would be, that it would be created out of or actually manufactured out of. And then also just to remember, you know, the goal is to just communicate the idea. And then some kind of like cool stubby funny wings, okay? So all I'm doing here is I'm really just gesturing it in, okay? I'm trying to just get something on the page. So the gag here is to draw a little kind of a call out on the side of what the action is for the toy. The scale is down. And the idea is that you're squeezing. So here, you know, I'm kind of bulging. You have to make that sound too. This is one of those kind of like gross toys, you know, that you'd love to have. Oh, and then I'll make it kind of, you know, dripping down the hand. Because that's the fun of it. Oh, yeah. And then I'll draw the kid like, oh, man. Oh, that's nasty. A lot of my earlier jobs were storyboarding. I did that for like 2 years. And then when I got into doing this, I realized that all those storyboarding muscles have been trained for telling stories. So much of this is telling a story. It's like, how does this thing work? You know, people are reacting to things, and a lot of that I learned in storyboardings. We love what we invest time in. I think a lot of artists, when they start drawing, they don't want to admit that, hey, this isn't a very good drawing, you know, because they've invested time in it. And so sometimes you have to be able to just delete this image and say, this is no good. You know, it's not a good drawing. So the idea is to squeeze it. Maybe he's like jiggling a little. You know, his hand is jiggling. So this is called a B sheet. B sheet. Anyway, so here's the rough. This is what I would start with, is just the loose drawing, and then I'm going to tighten it up. I create another layer, and then I'm going to start to kind of tighten this thing up. Okay, so now you start thinking a little bit more about what you're actually doing. So then he's got his creepy teeth. Now again, if you're watching this is more of the geriatric slow version. You're seeing how I actually draw. You know, you don't have to close every line. It's not necessary. Now Mike has this really cool design element to his bugs, which is these kind of like scallop carapace in the back. So I want to try to get a little bit of that feeling in there. I have only been using a Cintiq. Let's talk about equipment. I have drawn on a Intuos Wacom tablet for years, probably over 15 years, because one of the first tablets I had, you know, was only like a 3x5 tablet. I had started off with drawing with a mouse back in the day, you know, when computers first were invented. yeah, we used a mouse for everything. So the tablet was the next thing, or the, you know, like an Intuo style tablet. I used it so much that I kind of forgot how enjoyable it was to draw with a pencil, essentially. I taught a class a little while ago where I started breaking into the old markers and pencils and things like that. You know, when I first started storyboarding, I was using pencils. Then I migrated over to working completely digital, and I lost that love of drawing with traditional stuff. Then once I did that class, I went, hey, you know, it's really enjoyable to draw with, you know, traditional mediums. I ought to get something that kind of simulates that. So I got an iPad with an Apple Pencil. Well, I enjoyed that so much that I went, hey, I wonder if they make something where you can draw on it that's big. Yeah, and you know, they have the Cintiqs. Those have been around for quite a while. I think it's time to try this out. So I got the Cintiq, and now I'm using it more and more. I've probably only been using it about 3 months, on and off actually. You know, I bounce between my tablet and this Cintiq, but I'll tell you, the more that I use the Cintiq, the more enjoyable it is, because it is really like the best of both worlds. You're getting to draw traditional, and you have the digital element to it. I'm just getting used to it, and I really like it. So yeah, I'm keeping it loose, still having fun with it. So if you liked the video today, please be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and you'll get notification for part 3, which I hope to be setting up the live stream to show you the live coloring process for how I color concepts. Check out Mike O'Hare's comic book. Thanks for tuning in to Blueline Design. Till the next time, keep drawing and keep designing.